Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. I hope you brought coffee. I don't think we're going to take very long here. I wanted to do a video on this thing here, showing you the features of it and that sort of thing, and where I plan on taking it, because, of course, I'm not done. This is version 2, and I added these. It's really so much nicer, but we'll talk about that later. But I'm getting close to doing the presentation. I even have my wiring diagram right there. So, uh, I'm just not feeling good, to be honest with you. I've been sick for 2 days. You know who's been sick for about 5. And she's been in bed most of that. She gets out every now and then, walks around, and then she gets feeling bad. She goes back to bed. So, but she got sick, and then I got sick from her. You know how that goes. Anyway, enough about that. So I thought, well, rather than just ignoring doing a video, I thought I'd at least come out to the shop and do a video, show you what I kind of have done in the last couple of weeks. I haven't done much in the last few days, quite honestly, between waiting on her and then getting sick myself. Anyway, I made some lemonade out of lemons. I had bought this meter. It's an AC meter with a current transformer on it, a ring, accidentally off of Amazon, and I put it up in the drawer until I was ready to do that project. I thought it was a battery monitor. I just wasn't paying attention. Anyway, I pulled it out, saw what it was later on, well after the time when I could have returned it. So I thought, now I'll find a use for it. Well, guess what? I did. I found that now I'd like to monitor the output of the power on my inverters and that sort of thing, and see what kind of what's a good inverter and what isn't. Because like now, one of my problems with this one is this inverter. This inverter is a 400 watt, but the real problem with it is the fan runs when you turn it on. And I'm sorry, why would it run until it gets hot? Anyway, I'm going to have to look around for a different one, and I'm not sure how to find a good one, but I'll just have to try to find one that way. I think I'd probably like to boost that to about 600 watts anyway. So, see, I'm talking about that instead of what we're talking about. Anyway, I wanted to measure some of the things on the AC side. So I got this back out, and I realized I just throw this in a little thing, and I connected the wires to a 50-cent house cord. I did drill this out over here so that I could actually get a 3-prong outlet into here. So I can plug this into a 3-prong outlet, but it is a 2-prong extension cord. So, and in here, to make this thing, all I needed some kind of container, and I just temporarily put it in here until I decide what kind of container I want or how I want to do this. I'd probably like to do something very bizarre, but I don't know yet. If you have any suggestions, I thought about making a bandsaw box of some kind to put it in, but anyway, if you have any suggestions about that, let me know, because I do want to rebox this. I'm not going to leave it in here. But to make this thing, all you needed was 2 lever connectors. These are 3 lever connectors. And I just used a couple of these and run my wiring, and that's all it took. It took me about 5 minutes to make this. Anyway, I think it's going to be handy. I'm glad I finally have one. I was going to go buy one on the internet, on Amazon, and I realized that, why don't I do that? I got something that would work. What got me to thinking about it is I don't remember the video, but I ran across a video where somebody did something very basically like this with it. And I thought, oh, I have one of those. That's a good idea. Now I don't have to buy the other one. So, is it as nice as the others? It has its drawbacks, but it has its advantages. The nice long cord, I think I like a lot better than the ones they have. So, anyway, that's one of the things that I did. I thought I'd kind of show that to you. Also, I'm really getting anxious to make use of this. I bought this one off of AliExpress, I think it was. Yeah. So, but it's rated at 32 amps. It's a 2-pole, 2-throw, so both sides are an on switch and the center is off. It's just a little knife switch. It's actually pretty nice. It's all copper inside, it looks like, including the sliding pole here. The clips really look like very well made. So I think this is going to be much better than those cheapies that I bought. But now I have to decide what I'm going to do with it. And I've been thinking about it. So one of the things I thought about is putting it on here and using this as my on and off breaker instead of that switch I have, but I don't know. Anyway, I bought one. I had to see. Now I know why you don't want to buy cheapies. You really do want to buy the good ones. Something that has an amp rating to it. Because this one in particular, I definitely would buy it again. It says made in China, qualified examination. So, knife changeover switch. Oh, I can't read the rest of that. My eyes just don't work that well. So anyway, if you go out and do knife switches on AliExpress, you'll run across this. You'll see it. And I actually got this for, I think, less than $10 even. I don't remember, but I'm really glad I got it. So anyway, that's kind of all I really have got going for that right now. I do want to do this review on this thing because there's a lot of stuff about this. Oh, I did make one more thing. I think this is going to be very handy too. This is one of my shop-made adapters to go on the batteries. And I thought, oh, why not just throw a volt meter on there? So now I can actually put this on here and I can see instantly the amount of voltage that's on this. And one thing that surprised me is as I move this from one to the other, it is surprising how varied that voltage is. I took these 4 batteries and I put them all in and took them out at the same time over there. This one's at 19.2, 19.3. It's flashing, so it's pretty close in between. But if I take the second one, which should be identical, it's 19.1. Now, some of these will actually vary a little more than others. And the reason that I decided I needed to do this for a quick reference for these is this is actually an accessory for that. And the reason I made it is because if you're going to put batteries in this, it's very important. The number one rule is you want matching voltage batteries. In other words, this is an 18-volt battery. So I can interchange, doesn't matter the amperage, which somebody enlightened me about that. I kind of learned it as I was going along. I originally said that I would be cautious about mismatching the amp hours of them. But I've since learned that batteries don't have a problem with that as long as they are in the same rating. And these are all 18-volt batteries. They charge to 20.5. And they shut off at 15 amps. So I can mismatch these. But you do have to have a matching voltage. I wouldn't try to go from one well, maybe even different tool batteries. I don't know. I've never done anything in that area. But you do want to be careful with these things to make sure that not only is the voltage compatible when you're going to parallel batteries, but you also have to make sure that for the hookup process, you really want them to be reasonably close to the same voltage. And I think it's a sliding scale. I don't know what is the true answer for these kind of batteries. I've actually had put 2 of them together that were like 0.8 volts apart, and I didn't appear to have any real problem. And they seem to finally level off to each other. So, but as long as you start with a fully charged battery on all of them, you should have no problem plugging them in and staying together. And if you're going to replace one battery later on because it's running low, they're all running low. You need to replace all of them. Keep it compatible on the amount of charge and the, well, of course, they have to be these batteries with the way I made this. So, or is it? I do have a way to hook up a different battery to this other than just the Ryobi too, by the way. Wait till you see this thing. This thing is actually very cool, and I think it could be expanded very easily if you wanted to make one. You might want to make yours a little bit more, a little bigger. Anyway, so this was the other thing I made real quick, and I can't believe I've not made one of these before now. It's as simple as it is. I just put the hot glued it on and stuck a little solder on there and stuck them there. I can still use this by hooking up alligator clips, so it didn't affect the use of this. But now it's actually double functioning. So, but it's really going. I think I'm going to have to keep it with this unit because if you're going to plug batteries in there, it's a good idea on the fly to kind of look at them all real quick to see, so you know what to expect. Make sure that they all fully charged. For example, the big thing I'd be using this for is if the power goes off unexpectedly. Now, most of the time, my batteries are all pretty much fully charged and kept up there, except for the ones in use. And I know that they're fully charged and I can just throw them in. But if I'm not sure the voltage on them, I just can use this and it'll be with this, so I can check all of them to make sure that I'm within a volt of each other. Like I said, that range, I think a volt seemed to be okay when they're off by 1 volt. But don't depend on that. You should do your own testing. I've also heard that down to a 1/4 of a volt is the maximum variation you want on them. So that's up to you. I don't have a definitive answer, but this will help me watch it and monitor it so I can see if I have a problem, what it's about. So anyway, one more quick thing before we go. I've been playing with a new style hinge, and it's just occurred to me. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody out there on YouTube that has done this, but I just took some thin leather, and this is potpourri of leather I bought at Hobby Lobby or someplace like that, and it was a bag of all these pre-cut pieces that were pre-used apparently. But I cut out a piece and put it on this board, and I cut the angle on the board like this. And the reason I actually was making this one in particular is I was thinking about making these so that they just hinged open, and I finally decided not to. But see, I was going to have this on there. It was going to have to start at a weird angle and come back to it like that. So, and I wanted something that might be durable and pretty steady, because there'd be some weight on this with 2 batteries in here. Anyway, I ended up not using them, and I'm glad I didn't. I think the way I have just screwed it on is fine. But it got me to thinking about these. When it comes to, me, I'm a big fan of making hinges. This might be a new way to be able to make hinges. You just stick them on boards on there, on a piece of paper, all different boards. And then when you're ready, you can cut this to shape on the jigsaws or the bandsaw and get a nice little shape out of something like this. So you can make it any shape and any design look that you want. And yet you still have that hinge effect on it. You can even have a good stop on it. And you can control that stop by controlling your angle when you cut these 2 boards and put them together. So stay tuned. If you know of anybody who's done something like this, let me know. I've not seen anything quite like this. Doug Stowe was the first one that probably turned me on to wood hinges. But he also did some leather hinges, but I don't remember him ever doing anything like this. He's back from the 1980s and 90s, I think. He wrote a couple books. And so anyway, I think he's out of Oklahoma in the U.S. But this is something I've not seen anybody do. And actually, it looks like it actually should work pretty well. I put 2 of these on there. It's not going to give me any side or any slop per se. It's just going to open and shut. How long will it last? It's leather. Who knows? But I imagine that this thing actually would be pretty durable for a long period of time. So anyway, that's the other thing I've been just kind of playing with. Something in the back of my head while I'm doing some OTB thinking. And now I'm kind of thinking I may have to make something using this style hinge on it. And I think that would be actually very cool. In fact, I have a box that I just cut apart that I made. And that one would probably be perfect to do something like this. So stay tuned. I may do some hinges here before long too on one of my boxes. So it's not going to be all electrical. Anyway, if you have any questions or any thoughts about any of this, please leave it below. I promise I'll get to this as soon as I get to feeling a little bit better. So maybe in the next few days I'll be back in the shop doing mad scientist stuff. So anyway, I think as soon as this is at a stopping point, I'm not going to do much more to it. So when I show it to you, it's pretty much going to be done the way it is. So anyway, and we'll get into that detail later on. I don't want to ramble too much today. So, well, I think I'll go in, check on you-know-who, make sure she's okay and if she needs anything. So, like I said, she's been getting out of bed some and does a few things. She doesn't like to just lay there. She feels like it's such a waste, and it is, but when you're sick, you should pamper yourself. Yesterday, I didn't do anything. I came out to the shop for about a half hour and realized that was a mistake. And I went back in and sat down in there and I stayed put. And I feel a lot better today as a result. So, anyway, I appreciate you coming by. Any questions, comments, or thoughts about any of this stuff? Let me know. I'm still learning myself. So, if I have some information wrong, please don't be afraid to tell me. So, I want to thank you for coming by, though. If you learned something here or you like this video, hit that like button. Lets me know that I did something right. But most importantly, please come back again because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks. And we'll see you guys again very soon.